Hello, it is February 2022, and I'm going to briefly talk about something I haven't really talked about, or at least directly. And I've talked about, for example, emotions, whether they be love, hate, anger, joy, all these things being tools to navigate this world, and not to be consumed by any of these kind of emotions, because any emotions, good or bad, will uh, skew the perception of reality or whatever. And I've also talked about, highlighted very much so, for example, the truther community and the mainstream community, both communities being drawn towards negativity and feeding that addiction, which is very unhealthy. And a lot of times what I've noticed is people being consumed by these things. And they really draw on negative media, and media plays up on that, and it keeps feeding that addiction because that's what gives their numbers up, and people just buy into it. And a lot of people who think that they're being positive or something, they don't see that they're actually very negative. Now, I'm just going to segue for a moment. There's a lot of people that you might meet that might appear, now I'm not talking looking, for example, angry. A lot of people say that my relaxed face, I look like I'm ticked off all the time, and I'm not. Just that's how I look. Some people are all smiling, and which kind of creeps me out, but that's kind of a different tangent. But there's a lot of people who may present themselves, or people will interpret them as being negative or pessimistic or something. And even some of my videos, when I'm talking about serious topics, people might conclude that, which is the furthest thing from the truth. And even when I share, for example, my very low moments, and I've done so to show the impact of, for example, injustice or sacrificing, when whistleblowing, exposing firsthand knowledge and so forth, I've shared all that. And it's interesting when people come across those videos, how they'll automatically, try to analyze me and conclude, but they, without seeing other videos. But I digress. So people might appear to be ticked off or serious or even really sad, but their core is, for example, as a descriptive, happy. A lot of people who may appear happy and joyful all the time, their core, usually, not always, but usually, is the opposite. And usually the more they present themselves as happy and joyful and everything else, the more they're hurting or suffering or hiding something within them. And that's just the way human beings are. I guess you could say that people who are willing to share, say, their sadness or their hardships or whatever, they're very strong in character because they're confident in who they are, and they're just simply sharing a moment like I have. So going back to the topic of being happy, people, especially in today's world with everything going on, really needs to set aside what is going on or what's perceived to be going on. And there's a lot of things, even in the past 2 years and what's starting now, to have a lot of questions. I almost want to say as a descriptive, some doubt, but I don't want to go down that path. Sometimes there are real events, but are, as a descriptive, created because agendas, we'll just call it. People really need to put all that aside and really start feeding their mind and their emotions with things that make them happy. Now, some people, a small handful of people out there, doing wrong would make them happy. I'm not condoning that at all. I'm talking what normal, sane people would find happy, find peace with. And a lot of people will, as a descriptive, or as an example, sorry, look at puppy videos and stuff like that, and that brings some peace. And sure, it's cute, it's nice to see, and everything else. I'm not saying anything bad about it. That's what makes you happy, then great. But rather than feed the addiction of negativity with what's going on in the world today, for example, break that. It's up to you to break that and start having influences of things that are actually positive. And I'm not saying, for example, these protests on foot or by rubber are positive. They're not. It's still feeding that negative addiction. I've said many times, if you're free, act free. And one of the ways to act free is to be happy. To be happy under any circumstances. A true person that is truly happy within themselves will find happiness even in the darkest corners or whatever they're going through in life. They'll be happy. I know for myself, I try to find as a descriptive joy in even the littlest things that might happen, even if it lasts for a few minutes, a moment, if I'm lucky, a few hours, a day. Find that joy. And if you can't, then you have to ask yourself why you can't. And if you can, change that. One example might be, if you can't, is that addiction. And now you realize that you have that addiction. So really, I'm just trying to give something positive here. And whatever's happening in the world, or whatever may happen, whatever's happening in your life that's negative, don't be consumed by it. Find something that makes you happy, even if it's a thought, reflecting on a happy memory. There's the old saying, go to your happy place, right? Whatever it takes. Because whatever you repeat over and over into your mind becomes part of you, part of your thoughts, part of your, dare I say, soul. So who do you want to end up to be in your life? Especially when your time here is done. Anyway, just things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me all the time, when is it going to get easier? When you die.